Now, for a handful of you, where the child or your children were the exact reason for the divorce, you may have to navigate things a little more carefully. Maybe, just maybe, you have to explain that the error was how the tension was handled. Explain the difference between root issues and fruit issues. The child may be the fruit, but they are not the root of the issue. I know a couple who was forced into a divorce because they both married with children who could not get along, like police over to the house bad. And I have seen sexual predator issues between stepkids. There are literally real reasons that involve divorce and children. But still, the root issue is the parents who may not have taken enough time working on blending families before marriage. Okay, I'm going to stir a hornet's nest right here. Some of you are going to stop right here and disagree, and some of you hopefully will subscribe and share the podcast for other people to hear. But I am committed on this podcast to talk about divorce and Christian singleness in ways you will never get from a pulpit. And I'm committed to talk about how we sometimes feel, not how we should feel, to talk about the dirty details of divorce. All right, here it goes. For those of you who are not single post-divorce, try to put this lens on. We have problems, unique problems. We single Christians who've already left our parents, already married, already had sex, already have lived our life, and we've raised a family or raising one, and now we're divorced. We navigate situations that you most likely have never even considered. I know a woman who remarried a closet alcoholic. She was guilted into not spending the night at his house pre-marriage. She didn't know he was a drunk between the hours of 11 p.m. and 2 a.m. and that he got violent. She left him, and now she's been divorced twice. She has that stain on her. And I know of a situation of sexual dysfunction I'm not going to get into and perversion that couldn't be addressed because of the guilt of premarital sex. Although we are post-marriage sex, technically. More on this topic on the Christian Single Post-Divorce and Sex episode coming later. But the complications of living in a broken world, but being thrown Genesis 1 and 2, perfect pre-fallen world solutions, and being coached on a pristine, perfect Christian behavior and rule following while dealing with broken world realities. Here's one I've run into a few times. A woman I once talked to briefly on a dating app. She was dating, but she was technically married. Her husband was in the house upstairs with 24-hour care, and he was in a comatose state. But before he became that way, he had released her, told her to date and to move on, get remarried. But technically, if she divorces him, he goes into a governmental home with far less care. So she keeps him on her insurance, and he's well taken care of. But here's the correct Christian answer. Too bad. You're still married until death do you part. That's your unfortunate lot in life. Suck it up, buttercup. Forget your sadness, forget your loneliness, forget your feelings. What a horrible place for her to be. We tell people not to live together, how to make decisions, how to look like you're not sinning, but you're in a complicated, broken world situation. But it butts up against our theology. It's so complex. So parents who have complicated issues to navigate with their children and blending families, don't dare flirt with blending families without that sheet of paper. How dare you? Man, it's complex stuff. There's sexual issues, logistic issues, money issues. And the answers are not as simple as talking to a pre-sex, pre-marriage teenager in Sunday school. It's just not.